I just went live a second ago talking about Albini and a lot of cool stuff, but everybody said that they had a bad connection. So let's see if maybe it's better now. Hello, is anybody there? So I just went live a second ago, and apparently I couldn't see what people were writing, and there was a little bit of a problem in my connection. Is anyone there? If anyone is there, say hello. So I'm live right now again, trying to do this. Has, I guess, technical problems? Billy, Manny, you're back. Can you hear me, Billy? I'm not sure what had happened. Huddle Studio, can you hear me? Does anybody hear me? I just went live a second ago and I was talking about Steve Albini, and no, nothing was working. I don't think. Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened. That was weird. So I'm not even sure if people were trying to talk to me. I mean, on my end, usually it will come up and say bad connection or something, but I didn't have any warning. All I heard was people say that there was something wrong in the connection. All right, cool. I think we're live. So everything sound good, guys? Or girls, if anyone's there. A lady. Cool. Give me 1 second. Hold on, guys. Hold that thought. Hoopla. I felt like I was gonna sneeze. So I'm like, Manny, you're gonna sneeze. Oh my god, like that's just terrible. So you guys can hear me, everything's good? Alright. Let me know if there's something wrong. I'm doing my best to do this. So anyways, everybody I think was there, heard me talk about the story about Ozzy. So I got to audition for Ozzy when I was like 20 years old. And then it's Steve Albini's birthday today. And I shared some stuff about Steve and what a badass he was. And yeah, when Steve came out to Los Angeles, he had my band, he let my band open for him. And actually, which was really cool, Fred Armisen was the opening act for, I mean, we opened for Shellac too. So it was Fred Armisen first, and then he did a little skit. And then I think he did the one, he was a priest. And then Fred Armisen really thought my band was cool. And he opened for us a few other shows where he was a timbali player. And then one out here in Los Angeles, there's a radio station called KCRW. And Fred Armisen was, I guess there's the guy that has dreadlocks, I don't know, but he was dressed up like, at our show, he opened up and he's like, hey, you know, this KCRW, da-da-da-da, and he's like, I guess being some DJ from over there. And it was Fred Armisen. So it was really cool that that Fred, after the Shellac shows, had opened up for my band as well. And Fred is a badass drummer. If you don't know, I know we've seen his skits, but his band was like in a punk band, and I think that's how Albini and them knew him. So they would bring out a comedian to open up some of the shows that Shellac would play, and that's Fred Armisen, who went on to do Saturday Night Live, and pretty an amazing artist as well. So yeah, we had played with Steve. Steve introduced us to Fred Armisen. Fred Armisen then opened up for a few shows. And then I remember Steve, this tells you what a badass he was. There's so Steve writes me and he says, hey, do you mind I'm telling a band that they asked him, who would you recommend a really great band to open up? That was all the question that was proposed to him. I don't know anything about the band or even who asked him. And he says, yeah, there's a really cool band called Distortionfelix, and that's my band. And he goes, yeah, I think you should hit them and have them open up. So I get an email from a woman, from a man, the manager, and he represents a band called, a woman artist named Nina Nastasia. They're on Touch and Go, I believe, or at least they were at the time. I think Steve had done a few records for them. And so then they call me and they ask me, "Hey, Steve, I hope you don't mind us calling you. Steve had said that your band should open for us." And I said, "Yeah." And I go, "Let me know when you guys are in LA. We would love to open for you." They said, "Oh, no, no, we're in New York City and we're doing 2 nights at the Knitting Factory and we want to fly you out." And I was just kind of confused because it's like an indie band. Like it's, I mean, they're huge. I mean, people love them, but I was just in awe that Steve had recommended my band to a band from New York City, and on the word of Steve, they're flying my band out. All three of us picked us up at the airport with a car. Where there's an apartment in New York City that we stayed at, and this was right after 9/11 because I remember we all walked over to where 9/11 was, and it was still kind of cordoned off, and the building was already gone. I mean, obviously it was gone then, but they had cleaned it up a little bit, obviously, and the knitting factory wasn't too far away. But yeah, that was what's up, Boise? Boise in the house. Um, so yeah, so we flew out to New York City on Steve's word. The band, Steve Albini, flew us out to New York, and they were just an independent band just like us. Not any more money, but they were so the art that they played and the music that they played, they wanted it to be accompanied with a band that Steve Albini recommended, and that was my band. So, I mean, I can tell you a bunch of stuff that on what a badass Steve was, and on his word, great things happened. And even that even brought me to be here with you guys. I had done some. I don't say I ever do demos. I think I do records, but let's just say Kim Deal came in from the Breeders, and it was just after she left the Pixies, and she did with her band. I don't know if it was 3 songs, maybe 4. I don't remember, but not paying me. Just I wanted, one of her bandmates knew me from East LA, and it's ironic that where I am right now, my studio is kind of where he was from, and he recommended, "Hey, I know this guy that has a cool studio named Manny." So Kim Deal came in and recorded with me. And that was I'm a huge Pixies fan. So having Kim Deal in the studio, regardless of the Breeders, I mean, I love the Breeders. The Title TK is one of the sickest records. Even though I did Mountain Battles was the record after that, and I've done singles for Kim through all her old thing. Even recently, if you look up Kim Deal, um, her new single called "Wish I Was," I recorded that. And then every kind of peppered through her solo records, I've done 1 or 2 songs. And then the full record I worked on was Mountain Battles. And that was me mixing out. Well, the idea of that session, the reason that record is so different is that when she recorded with me in LA, she then flew off and recorded with someone from Texas, New York, and did a handful of songs with Steve Albini. And then I didn't know what the master plan was, except I was just stoked. And like, I literally recorded them. And then Kim was so awesome. She gave me a high five and she shook my hand and handed me like 2 G's, like, "Thank you." And I was like, "Whoa, I'm getting paid for recording Kim Deal." This is literally right when my studio first opened and I started recording. And Steve, obviously, Steve at that point, they knew that knew Steve, but I really came in through a recommendation of someone from their own band. So Steve didn't do anything with that. So they recorded with me, then they went to Texas, and then it was funny. I wrote the drummer, and he's someone I knew back in LA, Jose. I said, "Hey man, how did it go? Did how did my session go?" I mean, that was literally like 2 years after they left my studio. I had no idea what they even thought about what we did. And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "Didn't Kim tell you?" And I was like, "No." I mean, I literally called him up out of the blue, and he goes, "No, we're gonna come to LA." And he goes, "What? Find a studio for us." And I was like, "What?" And so then Kim calls me not soon after, and she's like, "Hey Manny, we really like what you did with us." And what happened was, now I know the story, is that they did all these sessions on 24 track tape, and they had taken it back to Steve's electrical audio, and Kim was reviewing and working on stuff. And then she asked Steve, "Hey, of all these different sessions, we want to go back to one of these people. Who do you think captured our band the best?" Or whatever the question was, which one do you think came out the best? And then Steve, very nice of him, said, "I think Manny sounds the best." So then that's why Kim Deal called me to come back to me on Steve's recommendation. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, like he's like the teacher, I'm the student, I can't believe. And one of the reasons that my skill set was good for Kim is at that point, I was only analog tape. I cut tape like a master. Like even you see me using the razor blade, I can cut 24 track tape crazy. And I started on 16, I worked on 8 track, I worked on 4 track, I've cut quarter-inch tape, half-inch tape, 1-inch tape, 2-inch tape, all the different brands. Um, so Kim came back to me and says, "Hey, what studio?" And I'm thinking I'm going to record. And she's like, "No, no, we want to mix somewhere. Where are we going to mix at?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "Sound City? Okay, book it." And I'm not even lying. We booked 2 weeks at Sound City. And I'm already like, I could never. And I was, dude, this is the truth. I mean, if we're engineers and I'm speaking to one of you and you're like in your room, in your garage, in your closet, in a studio space, renting your buddy space, have dreams and put it out in the universe that you want to, do really well at what you do. Because I remember walking out of my studio in that year gap that I didn't hear back from Kim, and I said up into the sky, will I ever get to record in a real studio? And this is me only as a producer. Of course, I've recorded at Albini's. I've recorded at Sound City before as an artist, but nothing as a producer. And I had, I'm made my own studio. I'm making super sick records, but I don't know what the experience is like to walk into a nice studio. And all the guys I know in LA, my peers are like all the badass producers, they're always flying somewhere and doing something or working at a studio. But I guess now I realize a lot of them didn't have their own studio. I had my own studio, so that's how I cut my teeth on making bands. So, yeah, I just tell Kim Sound City, and she books 2 weeks there, and I was like, oh my God. And like, we went in there, and I ended up befriending Adam was the engineer there. We were in the rated R room because there's 2 rooms. There's a really big room that Rick Rubin was in with Metallica. And oh no, it was the producer. No, Rick Rubin was in there with someone. I think. Wow, we were there over. I was in there mixing over 2 years with her, so I can't remember. Metallica was in there, but I want to say they were with maybe the guy that assisted Rick Rubin, and then he became the producer. I don't know his name, but when I went in there, I saw the Metallica setup. It was insane. All the mics over Lars drums was incredible. So, anyways, we're just mixing in the smaller room, and Kim booked it, and it was what an experience, man. So I can use tape. I put it on their studio machine. I was running through a Neve, mixing the whole record. It was what a wonderful experience. So eventually what happened was for 2 years, I worked on that record with her, predominantly working with sessions that I didn't record except for the initial demo ones that I did, and she loved those songs and they made the record. But then eventually I lived in Ohio for about 6 months off and on, recording a few more tracks. And one of the tracks, which I really, really to this day love off the Mountain Battles record, is a song called Night of Joy. It is such a sad song. And there's so much more to that story that I'm just not going to talk about. But it is so beautiful. And so me working with Kim and the Breeders was just an incredible experience. And that's how I ended up being in a band with Mondo, my bass player. He was their bass player. So now I'd go to Ohio and hang out with them. Even though he's from East LA, I didn't know him. So after I got to know Mondo, Jose had put in a word, can Manny's band Distortionfelix open up for Kim and Callie when they did a festival called All Tomorrow's Party. They don't have them anymore, but there were these iconic festivals that they would give people, hey Shannon, they would give people that they like let's say you're PJ Harvey, and they say, PJ, we're gonna give you a weekend up in Minehead in England. We have a whole festival. It's only your people can go there. You pick all the bands, and then the closed circuit TV is only videos you want. It was a huge experience. Yeah, Dayton, man. I lived in Dayton. I got a story about that. Remind me about Dayton, Ohio story. But yeah, so we went out and Kim approved it, and they paid for our flights, and they flew us out to England. And when we opened up, we played after Shellac. No, it was Melt Banana, and then it was my band, and then it was Shellac. And then on the other stage was X, and we went on before all these bands. Also, Gang of Four played, Battles played. It was incredible. But at that show, Mondo had saw my band, my bass player Mondo, or not my bass player, I don't own him, but he's in my band. And so Mondo saw us, and that night he was hanging out with me, and he's like, dude, your band is really great. And me and Mondo ended up drinking a whole bottle of Cuevo. It was the worst. And the reason, so yeah, me and Mondo just bonded getting hammered. And then when we came back to LA, I told Mondo that Juan, or Johnny, my bass player that played that show, he was in the Mars Volta. After that show, which I think was like 2008, Juan was already playing shows with Mars Volta. He ended up just going full on, and I understand. Like, that Mars Volta was what Juan, that was his calling. Sadly, a little story about Juan. He went over his handlebars in his car and got brain damage. And I thought he was going to die. But if you watch Juan's story, if you look up Juan Alderete or Johnny, he came back and he went through, still recovering, but it's just wonderful to have him back too. So yeah, a lot of, I mean, this can go a bunch of directions. I know I came here to do this, but that was my experience of Kim and Kelly. And then when we came back to LA, after I'd finished the record for Kim, I never heard back from the band. I was like, whoa. And I remember Kim saying that she wanted to master at Abbey Road, and she was going to fly me to Abbey Road. And I was like, oh my God. And so then, once again, I call Jose. Hey, Jose, we finished the record already like 6 months earlier, a year earlier. And I said, hey, Kim mentioned that we were going to, master. And he said, oh, Kim's in Abbey Road right now mastering the record. And I went, oh, fuck. But I mean, I'm happy, but I'm a little bit sad because I was like, oh, shit. So then about 2 weeks after that, Kim calls me. And she's like, she always be like, Manny. And I'd be like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. She goes, listen, I flew to Ohio. I mean, I flew to Abbey Road. And she remembers me saying, please take me with you to master the record. And she's like, look I made a mistake. I went to go master the record. And oil and water with her and the mastering engineer, Steve Rook. And, I don't know, British, English. I mean, Kim's a badass. And I believe Steve Rook may have only, when she came in with the label, I don't know if he mansplained it, whatever. Kim is just like, Kim's the one. Kim makes all the decisions. You gotta, whatever you're gonna do, Kim's the boss, and you do what Kim says. Apparently the mastering engineer didn't understand that, didn't really acknowledge her, or whenever, I don't know really what had happened, except her experience was terrible. And that was who Steve told her to record it with out there. I mean, to master with. So she came back and she goes, I think the record came out terrible because it was supposed to be all analog. It was supposed to go from the 2-track tapes to, they have a studio machine that has all these heads that, all these different heads are like a bass response, treble response, any loud levels, and they have these meters that move. So as the tape's running by, before it gets to their console, they can see a big bump, like, oh my God, there's a low end bump coming up, and they can adjust it manually on the console when they're mastering. So they did it all analog over there, but the guy did something where he ran digital. And right there is a no-no. Kim saw him patch it in. He did not unpatch it. So she already came back feeling like the record wasn't what she wanted. So she told me that, and she sent me a CD of the record, and I remember I listened to it, and it was terrible. It was like distorted or clipped, something. It did not sound like what I remember. So then Kim immediately says, hey, well, I'm going to buy you a ticket tomorrow. And I want you to fly to Chicago with me and Steve. We're going to sequence the record once again on tape off the masters. And then I'm going to send you by yourself to Abbey Road. And I want you to master it without me. And so then I flew to Chicago. And it's crazy because Steve is still like a badass. He's still my teacher in some ways. And they were having an argument about Kim says, I want to fly Manny to Chicago to a master it. Steve saying, I don't think you should fly Manny out there because I don't think you're going to like it. Even if Manny does it, this is not going to work out for you. So they're arguing about me flying to Chicago. And as much as I love Steve, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude, I want to go to England. Eventually, Steve just says, look at Kim, I love you. I respect you. If you want to send Manny to England, let's just sequence this record, give him the masters, and he's gonna fly to England. I remember it was crazy because like I watched him sequence the whole record. She would basically get the 2 reels of the master mixes and put them onto 1 reel. She wanted side A and side B. And now this is never gonna happen again in my lifetime, and no one's ever gonna have enough money to do this unless you are rich. Is to go to a mastering lab that can cut vinyl and you run your reels in real time and it's being cut to vinyl. And well, not vinyl, they had these like what are they weren't even lacquer, they were like these brass plates or whatever the plates were cut with grooves. That was then set to the manufacturing where they would press it against and make the vinyl off of these templates that was cut on like metal. I should know it. I forgot the name of them. The test pressings, but they were like made out of metal. It was literally cutting copper or whatever that soft material was they were making. That's what you would make your record off of. So Kim wanted to do the mastering where you just put the needle down, it starts cutting the lacquers, and then you hit play, and the record has to play back each side. You cannot stop the cutting lathe. And that means me and then 2 other engineers, plus the mastering engineer, would have to learn how to master the record. So like the loud song came on, Steve Rook would push it lower, and then he would tell me engage the upper frequencies on the first song. Someone would lower the lower frequencies. Someone would adjust a limiter. And every song we had to learn it. So it took us all day to learn one side, and then we ran it. We only messed up one time, and they had to throw the lacquers away, which cost hundreds of dollars. And then we put another one on, not lacquers, but the plates. And then we did the next one, and we got it. So then I did the first day mastering one side of the record. Then I was staying at this super nice hotel. I had a driver. It was totally crazy. I'm at Abbey Road in England. And then we went, oh, I missed that point. Yes, I went to England and by myself and mastered it by myself, which was crazy. And I remember Jose, the drummer, just said, just don't fuck it up. And I was like, oh my God, man, what kind of pressure? So then the second day, we cut the second pressing, went fine. And then Steve Rook was able to make me a rough of what we did. And then they sent it to Kim. And they listened to it, and they loved it, and that ended up being the mastering. Now, one thing I will say, because of her bad experience with that record is really low in volume. She didn't give a fuck. She's like, I don't want it to clip. I don't want a Metallica record. I want you to put it, I think she said it was 2 dBs lower than normal. And I didn't care. I was like, whatever you want. She's the boss. Let's do it. So, yeah, that record is low. But at the same time, if you have it on vinyl, you know, you're not really A-Bing it. But yeah, what an experience for Kim. Okie dokie. You know what time it is. I got to get to business here. Shannon, what's up? Rufus, you know Dayton, Ohio. But what is the difference between an R44? Oh, there's a question. What is the difference between an R144? You know what? In all honesty, I think it's just the carrying case. These come in like plastic, small cases. And the limited edition one is, they look nice. They're like a silver chrome. They look really beautiful. They come with a more of a, not a pelican case, but the case is made out of somewhat metal. Looks like a briefcase. I didn't notice anything different about them, except they were just kind of cared for a little bit nicer. The ribbons inside were still identical to these, which I already mentioned about the things that I do to them. So that was a question. So this one I did earlier live, and this is for Carlton, cat from Austin, Texas. He saw the video here and was nice enough to I think strictly cosmetic, and you get a nice case, which looks it's a everything looks nicer, but I don't think there's any difference. That's why I tell people to buy these. But I told my friend to do that, and he's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna buy the limited edition." I told him they were the same. He liked the way it looked. They're silver, almost bronze. They look kind of flashy, and then he liked that it had a case that he could put in his mic locker. So, yeah, if you can find one on the used market, that's cool. I haven't noticed anything different between these 144s and then the one in the vintage. They have the same transducers, and I don't know off the top of my head if they came with like an extra key. I don't even know. But let me put this one to the side because I did this one earlier on my Instagram, OGMC. Carlton is from Austin, Texas. He has two of these, and I promised him I was going to mail out his too. He wrote me an email this morning. He was excited to, I don't know if he's to watching this, but I did tell him that, hey, what's up, Ace? I did tell him I was going to do this. So one of the things I was going to tell you about these mics, which is interesting, these come now sealed. I know I've undone this and it's taped. The cases that these come in, the cheaper ones, they have foam inside. There's fumes or there was toxins. Because I'm talking like 3 years ago. When I used to get these, it was almost like they had a suntan. Like when I would take them out of the mic, I'd be like, what the hell? It was all dull here. And then when I would open up the ribbons were colored, like almost eroded by chemicals. And this foam here, it's almost like this foam, when you lock it up and seal it up, the fumes would almost cooked the backside of the mic, and even the ribbon was discolored and weird. And it would almost seem like the ribbon kind of rusted, like maybe there wasn't the purities of the metals weren't. I don't even know. So I used to get a lot of these, and they were kind of wasted. So what I would tell my friends is go, hey, listen, do me a favor, when you get these mics, rip out the foam, put a sock or something, whatever you want to do to pad it with some cotton. Maybe put a Crown Royal bag on this and then put it inside there. But don't leave it, if you put it away for a few months in that container, it'll change. So it's interesting now that I find these. Obviously, they must have had complaints. So now they arrive fully sealed like this. The problem is, though, once you get it and you undo it and then you put it back in that same container, I have not yet done any test studies, or I don't really know, but I'm assuming that, let me get this off out of view. I don't want to pop the camera. I'm assuming that they don't have any problems anymore with discoloration because these come completely sealed. So to anyone that gets these from me, I'll show you exactly what it is. I have a case right here that was holding the mic. Oh, sorry. This foam is, I believe, have a chemical coming off this, and it smells like plastic, it does, but that chemical was eroding the chrome. I mean, you could almost say like, oh, that sounds so bad. Well, actually, there's a lot of fiberglasses and things that get eroded when certain metals get near it. So it's just a matter of having two chemicals that aren't meant to be together. Whatever they coat this with, whatever the paint is, whatever that is, they do not jive. All right, so we have this mic. This is one that's I haven't done yet. I don't know what it's going to look like, but you get these for 99 bucks from Sweetwater. And here's the thing, man. I truly believe, like, if there was a perfect storm of a Chinese mic, it's this mic. I mean, I like the way the transformers sound, whatever I have no idea. I've never measured that. I don't have any idea, except whenever I get these, and after I re-ribbon them, they're usually 2 to 3 dBs louder. There's more mids and highs, and it just sounds goddamn beautiful. And I only found these organically. Like, a buddy of mine had a bunch of Chinese mics, And I did these, and I would test them before and after. And even though all the mics I did always sounded better, for whatever reason, these ones would just, my ears would go like, whoa, that is really great. So then I had told my friends I was re-ribboning mics, and they went out and bought the cheapest mics they could find, which were MXLs. And when they brought me an R144 again, I did it, and I just decided, I go, you know what? Someone has to know that these mics are just bumping, and they're really good. So that is kind of it. It's not, I have nothing to do with MXL. I think it's kind of cool that they're unknown. I don't think, you know, you get them for 99 bucks brand new right now from Sweetwater. Thank God they're not anymore. And also, if you look up the MXL R40s, people are giving them away. It's the same mic, basically. They're a little bit, they're a hair darker. That could be the transformer, but still really big sounds. So yeah, this is not a mic where you're going to have trouble buying it from Sweetwater. And if they only sell out, it's because they're very popular amongst people that are getting into recording. And it's affordable. I mean, 99 bucks. I mean, you can't complain. And here's the truth. If you put this mic in front of a drum set and cranked it with some kind of plug-in compressor, or you put like some kind of hardware, it's going to sound great whether the ribbon is laxed or not. And once again, I just think it's a perfect storm. So if you can see, without me doing anything, that ribbon is completely sagging in there like a hammock. So if I flip it over this way, it's going the other direction. That is not good. But if you stand it up, well, it's kind of in the middle. But it's not a good tension. And that's the thing, is when you buy these mics, when you buy fatheads, when you buy anything that comes from China, even if they put a sick transform in it, you just basically have a loud, bad mic. Like Cascades, amazing built mics with Lundell transformers, but the transducers still come from China, or wherever they're done, they look just like that. And for me, and if, okay, let's say, and I always have that conversation. Hold on. Yeah, guitars, same thing. It's like when people talk about like I talk about Mustangs sometimes. Dale Shelby just got a Mustang and he just hot rodded it. That's it. A Shelby is a Mustang. This is a Manny Shelby. I just get it. And the engine is the motor. And yeah, I mean, yeah, get a Apache case. I mean, yeah, that's it. I like those cases from them. But so I'm going to take this off and we're going to look at the ribbon a little bit more. And once again, no one cares about these mics. If you're anywhere in ear range of me talking about it and praising these, is I'm a producer. I'm a pretty sick producer. I've done a lot of music. I have a lot of confidence in myself. I do have a sound, good or bad, whether you like it or not. I do have a sound. My drums sound a certain way. My guitar sounds. I can't do anything about it. It's just like Tourette's syndrome with my sound. It's just gonna fucking happen. The way I say fuck, it just happens. What I'm doing is this tape is going under the transducer. I don't need to remove it, so I'm just removing the tape to get access to it. There's nothing special about me cutting this tape, except I will replace it with the same type. Oh, that's right, you tell me. Let's see, you just released your single. Yeah, you know what? I'll go to your page and take a listen to it. Yeah, I didn't understand yesterday. I thought you were sending it to me, but thank you for explaining that I have to go to your page. Because I was actually looking for an email or a link, and I didn't see one. But thank you for clarifying that. Cult Guru, he's one of the comments there. If you guys have a chance, let's all be supportive of our buddies. Maybe everyone take a listen to that page. Maybe Adam, subscribe to him. I mean, even me too. If you haven't subscribed to me, please do it, man. You don't have to do the, you know, pay money or whatever. I mean, if you want to buy me a coffee, you know, I'm a coffee whore. You could just hit the icon under the description. You can buy me a Topo Chico. That motherfucker is always wanting a coffee or something. Jesus. Okay. So these are the screens. I mean, these are semi-magnetized, but I'm going to remove them. I'm just going to glue them back again. There's one on the front. Royers have something like, they all have this. So now you can really see inside. So when you buy them out of the factory, look at, I'm going to rub my hand under this. You can see my hand going, my finger. See, you see my finger? I shouldn't be able to even touch that ribbon because it's supposed to be in the middle of that transducer. But if they send it like this, now here's the thing. When it's like this, I mean, it probably still sounds pretty heavy. I've heard a lot of people that are like, oh man, it sounds pretty good. Of course it does. It's an open ribbon. The head basket's right. It's got a good transformer that sounds good. It's opened up in air. But this is the difference between AEA, Royer, Bayer, and MXL. They all come with the same stuff. They all have neodymium magnets. Like this, if I had a tube cylinder and I slid that in with these sticking out, that would be a Royer with a bad ribbon in it. But technically, it's the same mic. If you put this ribbon inside of a Royer, and Royers would came with the same situation, they would then be a $99 microphone. But Royers don't do that. They have a whole department. They weigh the ribbons. They cut them. Whoever the guy is that does them or girl, they really take their job serious. The same with AEA. They have a whole department of people that are tuning ribbons and making sure they sound good. And Bayer, don't get me started, man. Those ribbons are so difficult to work on. They're so like small, and there's and Bayer. Okay, most ribbons of the world, if the wind is coming here, the ribbon's kind of doing this. The wind's hitting here, so it's like moving like with the wind. Bayer microphones move like a piston. Same thing. Wind's hitting it. Instead of doing this, it's doing this. That was the first ribbon I started working on. So that's how I got my kind of my mojo about. I first started designing and learning how to recreate a Bayer ribbon, and I figured it out how to make the ribbon move up and down. But then when I got into these, I was like, oh, these are fucking easy. You don't have to do any of that crazy shit. So my introduction getting into these was from me working on Bayer mics first. And those are the most difficult mics, and only in the U.S. Most people throw them away or send them back to Bayer. There are certified Bayer repair people, I'm sure, in the U.S. that handle Bayers, but really difficult ribbons to do. And there's only a few people in the U.S. that I think are worthy to have them work on your Bayers. I started working on Bayers, and then as I moved up into these other microphones, I've grown to really love the way these sound. And part of the reason is this. I'll be honest with you. This big head basket is like a 77, or when you see a 44, it's just perfect. You know, and the lollipops of nadies that are bigger. And I mean, nadies RSM4s and RSM5s are fucking great mics to work on. Really great, cost you nothing to get into it. So then, if you've seen my argument about why should I spend 99 bucks for this and why should I spend 250, that's my fee, is 250. And what the people do is they buy these from Sweetwater for 99 bucks. They obviously they talk to me first to get my P.O. box. So they order from Sweetwater, they pay for it, they're paying for it, not me. And then they ship it to my P.O. box because I've already given them that information. And then I get it for $250. I'm doing what I'm going to show you right now. And when you get it back, it's going to have 2 to 6 more dBs of sound. The mid-range and the high-end is going to be great. It's going to have a high-quality ribbon cut closer to the magnets. And I'll show you this too. Put this behind it. I don't know if you can see that. Can't really. Can you see that? Let me put it out of the light. The gap is massive, which means, you know, I have a theory that I think they just cut these all like 4 millimeters. This one doesn't look too bad. I could probably retension this, but what the biggest issue I have is the corrugation. Even if I was to retension this and that does look like a good piece of foil. My corrugation, I definitely will get you closer to having longevity and more durable in the way I do them. So I can't even use these ribbons again, sadly. But this one looks nice. It looks pretty close. And like I said, one of the inconsistencies between this and a Royer or this and an AEA is the gap. The gap is between the magnet. If I had 10 of these mics and I measure the gap, they go from 4.90 to 5.5 millimeters to 5.15 millimeters, 5.20, 5.23, 530, all the way up to 550, which I found these, which means that somehow when they use either CNC machines, or the magnets are thicker, or I don't know what the variable of that happening in the gap, but that just means I have to measure every one. But I think on their end, they just cut a ribbon that they know will always be under par and will fit in a ribbon mic that has a gap of 4.9 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 550. So it doesn't matter. They're gonna put like a 4 millimeter ribbon in there, and it will always fit. This one looks like a little bit more than that, but still, that is the biggest issue. Holy smokes! Well, if you would have saw me do that marathon of the Coles, I promise you I won't have that crazy shit on this one. But it is still difficult. And I know in the first video I got cut off, so I had to reboot and light up again. Today is Steve Albini's birthday. And if you don't know who he is, he's one of the greatest engineers in the world. He prided himself on saying he wasn't a producer. He passed away. This is his birthday. And he was a dear friend. I love him. He showed me how to record. I stayed at his studio in Chicago while he showed me the ropes of how to make music, and I appreciate that. He first had recorded my band. Actually, I shouldn't take this off yet. Hold on. He first recorded my band in 1997 and 98, and then I think within a year later, maybe even sooner. One second. Just get this little. Make sure this is really nice in here. He recorded my band and ended up being really. He always said kind words about my band. And so there's a little bit of a camaraderie. He's in a band too. Shellac is super sick. I mean, Shellac is so fucking badass. And so, yeah. Let me see here. There's a question. I know. Thank you about Steve Colt. Rufus, what do you think of Alder Ribbon Mics, the company out of Michigan? You know what? I don't know anything about them. I can't say that I've worked on a lot of mics from most of the new boutique companies out here on the West Coast. But that particular mic, I don't know anything about. I think I did see them at NAMM. Or a friend of mine had brought that to my attention. But yeah, I don't know anything about them. So yeah, let's everybody give a big happy birthday for Steve. God rest his soul. It's still really difficult for me to think about him, and I know for a fact the people that were truly close, like his family, are probably just still shattered. I don't know how you can get over that. He was even me being a friend, but like I was, like I said, mentioned, I was like the rings of Saturn, and his family was like Saturn. I did go to Steve's wedding. Heather, his wife, and him had invited me out to Honolulu. And once again, that's another, I had never been to a tropical island. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about tropical islands. At least at the time I did it. I didn't even have a pair of shorts. And this is before I traveled China for 2 years recording bands. And I went there with like $900 in my pocket. I flew to China, one-way ticket, and I didn't return home for a year. I went to my son's graduation, hopped on a plane, and went back to China with about 160 pounds of recording gear on my back. That's for another story. But I got exposed to that by Steve. Now, when I'm here, you can see it. It is really twisted in there. So yeah, that's why we redo these, and I'm going to do a better ribbon than this, and it's going to be killer. So yeah, I went to Steve's wedding, and to tell you how just I wasn't paying attention, I got an email, and it was an invitation to Steve's wedding. I just hit, yes, I'm going back. I didn't even look at where it was. I assumed it was going to be Chicago. So I had the date marked on my calendar. I'm like, oh, fuck, I better get my flights for Chicago. And when I open up the invitation to read the small print, or big print, it says Honolulu, Hawaii. And I was like, oh my God, I've never been to a tropical island. I don't even have a pair of shorts. I always wear slacks. I look like a death rocker. I have monkey boots, or I have these boots called Blundstones. Um, so mostly, I think I had Blundstones, and I wear these slacks that are called Levi Action slacks. They're my favorite slacks. So I fly out to Steve's wedding. Never been to a tropical island. I don't even know anything about what's going on. But come to find out, Steve and Heather really, really. Steve's happiest moments, I will have to say, probably jumping in the ocean in Honolulu, Hawaii. So they got married. I think it was called Turtle Bay, and they had rented a house out there with all their friends. And I was honored that I went. So I go to the wedding, and I'm staying in Honolulu on Kuhio, which is the main strip where all the hotels were. So I'm staying on Kuhio, and the equivalent to like an Alley Weekly, which had been like a magazine that you know see arts and music. I just picked it up, and I see all these cool bands playing in Chinatown. So and at the time it would have been MySpace. I know, that's how old I am. So everybody only had MySpace. Um, that's where my parents got married. Yeah, man, Cold Crew. I mean, I gotta say, I was there with Steve, and it was after I did the Breeders record. Maybe it wasn't. Blank on that. So when I went out there, I remember I didn't hang out with Kim or Kelly too much. No, I had already I think I was in the middle of recording that record with them, so I'd already done some stuff with them. Yeah, I did, because I remember I went to dinner one time after Electrical Auto with Kim and Heather, Steve's wife, after a session, and we had a wonderful dinner, and that's how I met Heather. When I used to go down there before, I'd always seen Heather, but I didn't meet her till I started working with Kim Deal. So that's what had happened. So yeah, I found a band, and I just wrote them on MySpace saying, "Hey, I'm in Honolulu. I'm an LA producer," and they said, "Fuck yeah, come back to Hawaii." So when I went to Hawaii, I didn't have shorts, so I ended up getting scissors. I cut all my slacks into shorts, and I ruined all my slacks. So I'm walking around with Blundstone steel toe boots, black socks, and Levi's action slacks cut down into shorts. And somehow I was like, oh my God, man, I love this place. And it blew my mind. And thanks to Steve, I fell in love with Honolulu. So for the next 8 years, I flew off and on, back and forth through Honolulu. For almost 1 year, I lived in a hotel called the Ohana East, just recording bands in Hawaii. I'd wake up in the morning. Oh my God, man. 6 in the morning, you can see the sun coming up. You just walk out to the ocean, put your feet in the sand. And then I'd go get coffee and then drive around, get really good food. And then at about 11 o'clock, I would catch the bus and take it to the opposite side of the island to my friend Dimitri Marmash's studio. And it was a fucking life. I was single. My son was probably, well, he graduated when I was in China, so he had to have been like maybe 15 or 16, but he was fine. He lived with his mom. And so I was just doing what I wanted to do. So I lived on the island in a hotel for almost a year. They considered me a local because a local person gets a discount. And yeah, so out of Steve Albini's and his wife for inviting me to Hawaii, I fell in love with Honolulu. And then forever, I understood what Steve was talking about when he would talk about how much he loved the island. I mean, I think if Steve had a choice in his life, I think he would have stopped recording a long time ago and just lived on the island. I don't know why. Well, I don't. I mean, obviously financial. He and Greg have the burden of keeping that studio alive, and I think Steve felt a lot of that responsibility. I don't know for sure, but knowing the way Steve is, he had a lot of pride in his studio. And like everyone, it's kind of like when you tell your Gramps, why don't you retire? Why are you still working down there? He's like, oh, I got stuff to do, you know. And that was Steve. Super proud of Electrical, but I know in his heart he wanted to be in Honolulu. And every now and then I would see Heather and him posting that they're on the island, and it was just sweet. I knew exactly what the love was. It was beautiful. I knew exactly what Steve got out of being on the island. Like, don't fucking put a mic in his hand. He just wants to have a coconut, drinking coconut milk, diving in the water like a little kid. And of course, you had the poker thing too. I don't think there's any casinos on the island, so I don't know if it's that perfect for him, but it was pretty close too. I know he would have retired there. And I really wish, I hope that he had a fulfilled life and he'd gotten to do everything he wanted. And that's pretty much it. You never know when your card's going to get pulled, even me. And knock on wood, we all get a long life. So this ribbon, weird, but elasticy, but I don't know, probably good aluminum. It looks good. It's not discolored at all, which means it's probably pure aluminum. So yeah, hats off for that. Okay. I know. Let me see if I missed anybody's questions here. I do want to make sure because I don't see these after I posted. I think I got everybody's question. Shannon has a pair of my mics. And, thank you for tuning in. And why I'm doing these back to back? I have now, after I do this one, 3 more to do. And that's awesome. That's easily done in a day. And I'm really happy. I've done all the coals, and the coals were a nightmare. You saw me do them. Those are done. I do have a shipment coming in from a wonderful cat that saw the videos. He's sending me some microphones. And I'm really excited about it. He's sending me like some really beautiful mics to work on. I've worked on all those already. But when I do, I'm going to do some videos here. So maybe in about 2 weeks, he's giving me permission to do them. And I'm going to do these mics for him. And actually, he just picked up this morning 2 of these MXLs on top of all his other mics. So I'm stoked. I told him, if you're sending me all that stuff from England, let me just drop 2 of these in the box with you. And you're going to, and he has a studio. And I said, look, when you have a punk rock band, you don't want to put up your Breslows and your other ones, man. Put up these mics. They'll get the job done. You don't have to worry about, people sweating on your mics, wear and tear of microphones, it's a real thing. I've had studios since 1998. I now wrap my cables a lot better and keep things out of the way, but if you put anything across the floor or any mics, they're going to drink water. Like, I've heard guys stood up and in my 160 go, hey man, check one. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, do not yell into that center mic. That's a fucking Buyer 160. I mean, you can get away with it somewhat, but you never know. So yeah, mic wear and tear is a real thing. I remember Albini was telling me a story about there was this kid, and I don't know what he was doing, but he was filling up the SM7 with so much spit that was affecting the quality of the mic, and he thought the mic was breaking. He went out to go check the mic, and it was just full of spit. So gross. And he got mad at the guy. And just told him not to spit. So I don't know. I guess he had to put a pop filter in front of it. But yeah, that was something. So yeah, I'm cleaning this mic because there's little particles. And also, this is where I removed the tape. I want a good surface with the tape to come back. When I put the new tape on it, I want it to stick to this really nice. And I don't see anything. Oh, right there. Is that? No, it's a little blemish. Sometimes you find like glue or you just have to inspect it. I want this to be good. For Carlton, I don't know, Carlton, where are you, man? He piped in this morning. I did a live version on my Instagram of doing the other one. There's 2 of them. Man, if you can do that, send them to me, man. I cannot tell you enough. Like, while I'm hot and while I'm doing this, I'm like, since my studio opened up, my hours are really great where I can come in, mix in the morning, and then I try to be really proactive. Like I just set up my table. It's kind of a Zen thing. I mean, now I get to talk to you guys. So I'm just kind of, it's just weird. I guess I'm having conversations. You guys are talking back to me. Is it weird that I'm just talking to myself? Hold on. Yeah, man. Let me know. One thing I will say, there's a huge part of my life that was affected more than anything else was me going to China for 2 years. I know that's weird. I'm sitting here in East LA and LA. How does that even work out? Well, when I went to China, what we know as being Chinese now, as far as like the culture, and we know there's a lot of Chinese people here that have come. There's always been in Los Angeles and anywhere. There's always a influx of, could be Chinese, could be Thai, could be Indian, African, whatever. There's a lot of people that come in. But at the time when I had started inquiring about going to China, you could not get into China and you could not get out of China. It was really, really difficult for people to leave because the state, the way they ran things, if let's say a kid wants to go to China, they wouldn't let him go because they would be in fear that he would leave the country, so they wouldn't let him go. And if the dad or the mom want to go to China, maybe only one of them can leave China because they know that that person won't leave if the wife is still there. Weird, weird things that, some things that were like that. And also, um, yeah, it was just, at the time, it was crazy. So when I was in China, thanks to Steve, when I recorded all these bands on the island, um, there was a Filipino guy that told me, he goes, "Hey man, you ever heard of those noise bands from Beijing?" He's fucking talking, you know, some other language, some space language. I go, I don't even know. I haven't even. I mean, I love noise bands, but I didn't know of any bands in China. So I go home and on the internet, it isn't what it is today. So this is a fresh paper that I've already cut. This morning I came in about, I don't know, 9 or 10 in the morning. It's really difficult. I'm not being over dramatic. Cutting foil sucks. So I had a huge sheet that if you blow, sneeze, do anything, move this the wrong way, it shreds and it's ruined. So I cut, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have 4 sheets that look just like this. There's 2.5 foil inside. But I have to prepare it so I can work with it. And the reason I cut it into smaller increments, God forbid, should I be doing something and I ruin this, I don't want it to happen to a full sheet. So I cut them into smaller sheets. So once again, when I talk about microphones being made in smaller batches to control the quality, I have to make sure that nothing happens to these foils as I'm using them. And then if I spilt water, or I'm talking always with my Pellegrino and somehow Pellegrino gets on that, you gotta throw it away. You can't have anything on the aluminum because it just not gonna. You can't corrugate it. You can't work with it. So you keep it clean on these. And these, I cut these myself so they're usable for me. So what I need to do now, I need to measure the ribbon. And like I said, talking about China. So I end up, I don't know, I think I had to find out through bloggers. It wasn't even like you can do a Spotify or put in a search. Like I remember searching Chinese bands and only a band came up called Snapline. And I think that was it. They were like the Radiohead of China. And so I saw them, I'm like, oh fuck, Snapline is sick. And ironically, about a year later, I was recording Snapline in Beijing. I could not, and there was another band called Carsick Cars, and I ended up recording one of the guys in Carsick Cars with a band called Chewy Wan. So all these things, when I tell you stories about things you may want to do, you got to put it out in the universe that you want to succeed or do something good. Now, I wish I could say I want to be a millionaire, and then that would come true, but obviously fate has led me to have a used Subaru, a small studio in East LA. I record killer bands, and I'm on YouTube talking to you all about ribbons. That's my life, really. But in China, days. I didn't know anything. I just had all the gear on me. I was a Los Angeles producer, and did I go to high school? Yes. Well, San Gabriel Valley, not too far from downtown. But yeah, so I had this thing. I didn't really have any Bell Gardens. You know, my family grew up in the city of El Monte, which isn't far from Bell Gardens. I mean, maybe 20 minutes. The way I ended up going to China was I couldn't figure out. I knew I had no really angle to get into the country because you just can't fly into China. Their passports you have to get a visa. To get a visa, you need to get a working visa. I am not working anywhere. So in my studio was this microphone, and no one knew who this company was at the time because it was really old. It was this ugly blue and gold mic, and it was called an SC tube mic. And I remember seeing on the back of it, it said "Made in China." So I went online at the time, which is minimal, not as good as it is today. This is 2010. And I searched SE. I got a number in, weirdly, Europe. And apparently a European company had bought SE from the owner Sui, or their partners with Sui, who was in Shanghai. And I told them I already had contacted some of the bands out there because I had to make connections. I met some bands in Taipei. So my goal was to fly to Taipei, record bands in Taipei, fly to Shanghai, and then fly to Beijing. Simple. Let's see. I've always wanted to release it for projects. Well, I have a Grammy nominated record that I'll tell you about, but we'll try to keep my story straight right now. Remind me of that sometime. I am technically a Grammy nominated guy, but my title was it's a story. So yeah, so I want to go to China. I contact SC. I'm talking to some guy in Europe, and he says, let me put you in contact. I think her name was Angel or Sui, or I think it was Sui's assistant was Angel. So I get in contact with her and I say, listen, I'm flying to China. I don't have my dates yet, but I wanted to know, I plan to record only Chinese bands and live in China for, at the time, I thought it was a few weeks. I thought I was going to be in China for 6 weeks, not 2 years. And everybody thought I was going over the bank chicks and do shit. I honestly, man, I worked every single day. I worked on my birthday. I worked on Christmas. I worked on Easter. And it's different there. I never flew to Bangkok. I flew to Singapore. I lived in Hong Kong. I lived in Chengdu. I lived in the Sichuan province. I lived in Shenzhen, Macau, Hong Kong, the old new island of Hong Kong, and then Beijing. And I didn't go anywhere else, man. I had no time, and I was so excited to record and work with artists. This was not about going and visiting Bangkok and getting. At the time, I didn't even drink. I stopped drinking a few years earlier, thankfully. And that really kept my mind focused. I wasn't there to party. I was there to find out more about myself. I went crazy a few times because I don't know how you could think about what would it be like if you didn't see anyone you knew for about a year. I know that doesn't sound that crazy, but I didn't see one of my friends or anyone I knew. I was in a language barrier that was massive. But even though every band someone knew English, you still don't really have a friend. So it was maddening in some ways. But so I talked to SE, and I talked to Sui, and I said, Sui, I'm a Los Angeles producer. I've got some bands in Shanghai and in Beijing that want me to record them. I'd be super proud to be able to use SE microphones. Would I possibly be able to fly into Shanghai, and would you permit me to take some microphones and just record Chinese bands? But I need a paper from you that would give me permission to enter China and to do that. And he did. He emailed me back kind of a paper that I would carry with me through the whole trip. And I was able to go to the Chinese embassy, and next to the Chinese embassy there was a tour agent, and I told them about my situation, and he says, well, if you give me this amount of money, I know someone in the embassy. I can get you permitted to go to China. I was so fucking blown away. I gave her, I think it was like $400 or $600 to just slide it under the door, get a stamp, and I'm on my way. And I got it. So I went to China, and within 3 days, I ran out of money. Just fucking broke. But word had gotten out about this guy from LA who was in Shanghai, and suddenly my email started blowing up with bands in Beijing, and then Snapline, my favorite band in Car Sick Cars, those members had all written me, and I could not believe that the greatest bands in China who I knew from researching were all writing me to record them. And then some really sick bands in Hong Kong started writing me. So I would be able to get flown from city to city, have all my, and it was super cheap. Hotels were like $19. For me to get my favorite breakfast in Beijing, it was literally 30 cents. And I lived like that for years, 2 years. So it wasn't about getting rich. It was about living life and finding more. So when I went to China, I was a little bit jaded. And as engineering goes, I was a little bit bummed. I wasn't happy. And I'd already been recording for fucking 13 years, 14 years. But in my old studio, I was still taped. And when I went to China, like a knucklehead, I'm like, I'll just buy a laptop. So in my backpack was a laptop, an older Mac, a massive Digi 003 unit, which if you know what those are, it's like the size of a VCR, half the size of a microwave. I carried that around with me. That was my interface. And then I had, so when I arrived in Shanghai, how awesome is this? Sui picked me up, not picked me up, but he had someone come pick me up in a Benz and drove me out to this, like, it looked like a tank factory. And it was the SE factory. And I got to walk to the factory after a tour and got to grab all the mics I wanted. So I grabbed 2 of the V2 ribbons, the Voodoo ribbons. I got 2 of the T2s, which are like titanium built mics, which I regret not having them today. And then I had 2 of the tube mics. And I got 1 other mic, some pencil condensers. So I just couldn't believe I flew over there with no mics. No, I had a 57, and I had an SM7. That's what it was. And then the rest of it was SE. And so then I got to travel, and for 2 years I would just get these emails, and I would meet people in different cities I didn't know, and you know, eat some of the best food of my life. And I met my wife in Hong Kong, and I dated her while I lived out there, and I married her. And then I lived off and on in Singapore, which is one of the greatest countries I've ever been to. I lived in a $7 million condo that had an elevator, and I lived in the bomb shelter. That's where they stuck the Mexican. um, but I said, that's not racist. I'm just joking. I'm okay. I'm darker than fuck, but fuck it. So, yeah, man, I got nothing but, I mean, I almost died a bunch too. Don't get me wrong. I got food poisoning like once or twice a month. One time I almost died from food poisoning. Had kidney stones attack in Singapore. I thought I was going to die then. Then I almost got killed, robbed one time in Hong Kong. And these earth movers that used to travel through the city of Beijing almost completely crushed the taxis I used to have to drive through the city in. So, yeah, crazy shit. And once again, you guys have to remind me about this stuff because that's another video in itself, that whole thing. Back to business. We're cutting a ribbon. I'm sorry again, guys. You guys got me talking. Matter of fact, I'm just fucking talking. Oh, shit. See? Hold on. Oh, it looks good. There. Thank you, ribbon gods. So let's get to it. I need to figure out what the gap is on this mic. And I'm going to move this over because I can't work on it at the same time and having a camera in front of me. Tilt it down. All right, let me get my thingamajig here. Let's see what we got. I know I'm going to say this is 5.15. I think the last one I did was 510, 520. Let's say 515. We'll see. I can't tell. I haven't measured it yet, but we will. We'll find out right now. Let's see what we got here. close. Hold on, let me just double check this again. We'll get a close call on this. I just rounded off closely. It's really difficult in the magnets. I guess 520. It's not a total exact science, but at least I got an idea. It's about 520, so that's pretty good. So here's. I'm really gonna do this again. I always say that lie, but hey, man, I'm really pumped to get this to Carlton. He was nice enough to get these mics for me. He got me 2. I'm gonna work and get him to him. Shannon, if he's still there, he'll be my witness. They're fucking kick ass. I think Shannon does some acoustic music, and that's exactly what we spoke about. That these are really great microphones for that. He's named them. If Shannon's still there, what are the names of your mics? No, maybe he's not there. All right, so I need to now cut a ribbon out of this. So what I'm gonna do is I just made these sheets, and I need to work on this edge here to start cutting, going this direction. And so I'm gonna cut off this. I'm gonna measure it out, but I'm not gonna, hopefully not waste too much. Oh, there it is. Laverne and Shirley. How can I forget? I always say that. How can I forget the names Laverne and Shirley? You have to be a little bit old school to remember that. With Squiggy, Spinal Tap, Cats. The Fonz used to come on the show. Oh my God, Laverne and Shirley was great. Hold on now. Hold your breath. Hold on. I'm telling you, every time I just cut ribbons, I just feel like, nothing go wrong, please. It's not a science, it's just make it happen. Let me rip this off. So I just trimmed off that much ribbon because I want a nice edge to then, now I'm going to measure it to cut it. Now, what I recommend too is you got to give a little bit of room over here, because if I take it all the way to this last ribbon, it's really difficult to hold this down. I got to have some room. I may even, if I get down to like this small, I may remove it from this paper and put it more on the inside. So then when I lay this down, this is holding it. And that's the only way I can cut the ribbons. That is holding it down to keep it from crinkling and wrinkling and ruining it. And then I cut it. So I've cut this, and now this is 5 inches. These are 2 inches. But if you saw me before, you need a little bit of extra slack, because I've been working here, and if I damage it here, I can pull up the slack, and I got a little bit more room of the reservoir of the end. So it sucks. I wish, even though this is 2 inches, I can't cut the ribbon to 3, because once it gets corrugated, it gets smaller, but also the ends sometimes get damaged, and I need more room. So it is a little bit wasteful, but at the end of the day, a few times it's really, really saved me. It did save me the other day, but somehow I had, somehow here it got caught up and it got ruined, and I was able to just pull it forward, and I still had like 2 inches of slack, so it pulled up and it was fine. Okay, so now we're gonna cut this, as you would say in LA. We're gonna cut this motherfucker. I did it. That one was maybe forced. Hold on. What am I doing? Okay, let's make room. Spread out. Everyone spread out. I need room here. Hold on. Hoochie poochie. That's better than saying the F word. Okay. Here, come on. You know that's a bad idea. this ribbon, I measured at 520. You can't cut a ribbon at the gap of the gap. There's no, because of the inconsistencies of this mic, and I don't know if it's truly even both sides, not even like a Royer. You have to give yourself a little bit of room on either side. My feelings are is to cut it about 0.15 on each side, 0.10, 0.20. It depends. I'm not sure if this is crooked, but I give myself a little room to do it. And that's just the way, like these probably came with, you know, maybe 450 or below 4, so this can always fit in there. I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to get as close as I can. So this measures out to 5.20. And if you can imagine subtracting 10 or 15 on this side, 10 or 15 on that side, that is the subtraction of what I'll cut the ribbon. And that just gives me a little bit of room to wiggle in there. If it was a Royer, I can cut it closer because I know they're going to be exact. These ones are a little bit crooked. And I have to sometimes cut the ribbon a little bit smaller on this end and then bigger on this end if I feel like it's really off. So Carlton, you're getting 2 mics. We have Laverne and Shirley from Shannon down in San Diego. What would you name these? All right, those are obviously named ladies, but I don't know. Can you possibly name them a man? 2 men. Frickin' frat. I gotta say, but this is what I do. It's all vibe, it's all feel. I can look at a ribbon and usually know if it's good and the cut's good and if it's going to be in good. And even when I load them in, I can kind of get an idea. I don't even know how I figured that out. I think because I tested so many, I could just tell when I lay it in there and check it, I'm like, this is going to be a good mic. Or this is going to be a good cut. All right, so I'm going to cut this now. Hold on. Hold your breath. Everybody hold tight. Make sure I don't have a finger in front of that. Hey, hoochie poochie. Okay. So, spread out. Give me some room. So I'm going to rip this off the end. With your other ones. Whew. Today is a marathon, man. One more drink. I was gonna try to get this fast. We're already at 7-8 minutes. Jesus, it's already like 9:30. What the fuck is going on here? Is this my life? Am I just the ribbon guy? Believe me, I'm a producer. I record bands. I really do. I'm not just a ribbon guy. Now did I just lose my razor blade? There it is. See what I mean? You have to put these back in the shot glass religiously because, oh my god, just like, where's the razor blade? It's right under my hand. Like, all right. Enough of that stuff. Okay, let me, oh shit. The ribbon almost just popped out. Gotta cut the ribbon away from the paper. Hold on. Damn. Yeah, hold on. This is the part that's always scary because I do not want this ribbon to tear before I even can put it in the corrugator. So hold on a second if I'm silent. you know, I'm just spending time with you guys because I'm at my studio. I turn off the AC. It's hotter than fuck, but I'm making ribbons. You know, you should always think about what you wish for, and that's what I wish for. Hold it now. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, everyone. Don't give up on me yet, man. I'll make this happen. We'll see if I can get it one and done. Earlier, I was able to do it. Hold on now. Fucking get off the ribbon. And why is it always something? You have to have patience if you do ribbons. Oh fuck, I'm not gonna ruin it. Hold on now. Hold that thought. Hey, once you remove it, you're like, you still gotta fuck with it? Yeah, you do. Son of a bitch. I don't like it. Give me some room here. Crazy. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I just freak out moving the ribbon and I just trip out and I get all intense because I don't want to fail. All right, so let me put this right here. Which way this goes in there. So I'm going to say, we'll go this way. Fuck it. Hold on. If I can get it in there. Got wrapped around it. I fucking hate that shit. Holy cows. I gotta do more. Hold on. Hold that thought. It's not always perfect. Come on. Come to daddy. Get out that motherfucker. Do it because it just damaged the end of that. You need that extra wiggle room. All right. Get your bets together. We're not done yet. Spread out. Give us some room. Okay, so when I always mention about this, you got to stretch the ribbon. That's another chance to rip it in half, but you have to do it. I have to do it. And I think that's why the ribbons are always slack when you get them from China or whatever. I think they corrugate them and they just throw them back on. So the first gust of wind that hits it, or the first bit of sound pressure, the elasticity or the accordion of the ribbon, and that opens up. But since you didn't stretch it out, it just opens and then it's just stuck that way, hanging in there like a a limp leaf. So we're gonna do my best to stretch this out. So we're gonna put it in my wooden clothespin. All 13 of you? Right. Oh, fuck. Hold on. I gotta get this right. This is super important. Get it straight. You have to get it straight when you twist it, because if you don't, you're gonna fuck it up. Now I lose the other side. Hold on. How many times did I say fucking hold on? As many times as I say fuck. Really? I just did it again. My come on to the F word. Okay. Left. I gotta go left, right. Hold on now. Hold that thought. Don't rip it. Don't tear it. Oh my god, I gotta do it. Left, right. I'm gonna lose it. Don't lose it. Okay. Holy shit. Of course you're sticking to it. Why? There? Someone pipe in. We had some technical issues earlier. I feel like that's gonna happen to me again with my luck. Is anybody there? Did you already lose? Did I already lose you? Do this. Is anybody there? I had technical issues earlier. I don't know what it was. It didn't show me on YouTube, but everybody got bumped off. Did that happen again? A bad day on YouTube. I don't know. Actually, I gotta get a new Q-tip. Okay. Still there? It's like, I need to have people watching me. I just feel bad if somehow my connection ended again and I wasn't even aware. I still got to get this done. No possibility of me not getting this done tonight. Carlton is waiting for this. Man. Thanks, Shannon. I was worried. I thought I got kicked off again. I need to get these. I need to get the light back on this. So I just put this in. I need to adjust it. Thanks, Shannon. Shannon's a guy, so everybody get your head out of the fucking sand. Don't be messing with Shannon. He's a tough guy from San Diego. Oh, shit. This is the light. Get this in the middle of the mic. I feel like it's leaning to one side. Like I said, these mics are like when you put the ribbon in and you start to adjust it. Oh, actually, Orlando. Sorry, man. I don't know why I thought you lived in San Diego. Why do I think you live in San Diego? It's tropical. Maybe that's what it was. It's tropical. It's tropical. Okay, let me check this out. Sorry, Shannon. Thanks for correcting me. And Laverne and Shirley are the names of your mics. All right. That is looking good. I can't forget, Laverne and Shirley are the names of the mics I made for you, and you live in Orlando, Florida. Okay, I got it. You know, one of my favorite companies is out there, Audioscape. I don't know if they're made in Orlando, but really wicked company. Most of my stuff is from almost all my outboard gears is Audioscape. Yeah, maybe it was. Hold on now we get to the crazy shit. When the ribbon moves and I do that, that's trouble. Drop it in the hole. All right. Oh, close. Son of a bitch. I don't think this is gonna work. I think that screw is offset. That was dangerous. The screwdriver's going nowhere. Oh my god, the net tilt. Holy cows. He said it again, son of a bitch. Man, I have a lot of friends that live everywhere. I try my best to remember where everyone's from. And you've been regularly in here and we chat, so I just want to make sure I got it right. I'm glad I asked you. Fuck. Oh. Yeah, we need to reset that again because when I went to put that little bracket back in, it was not right. I need not only this to be straight, but when I put that bracket in, I don't want it to move the rivet or have the rivet stick to the bracket. Disrespect. I'm getting to the point now where I can't screw this up. There, hold on. Doing a little dance here on one side to the other. Oh, fuck. Come on, really? Bitch. Poochie. Thank you, man. It is. I'm not lying to you. I mean, I don't want to fail. As much as I talk shit and I know I can do it again, it's like a challenge. Like I'm challenging myself the other day. Last night I did 2 coals. I was exhausted by the end of the night. Mentally just completely fucking drained. But there's something rewarding about doing this. Oh, come on. It's right. I don't know until I put the screw in. Like I said, with the camera in front of me, it's like working on your car from the trunk. I can't lose the screw either out of my hand because it will fly into the mic and ruin it. Okay, I felt it. You're blocking this, so if this screwdriver slips, it's gonna ruin the mic. Okay. Now want to tighten this down all the way because I may need to move this one forward or back. If I tighten it down and it crushes the ribbon, and then I have to go adjust this one, the ribbon's gonna twerk and move. So when people go, oh, you're just replacing the ribbon? That's right, motherfucker. And it's fucking crazy. Oh, is that all you're doing, Manny? We're paying you $250 for that? Jesus Christ, dude. No, go ahead and spend 1,400 fucking bucks for a R84. You'll get the same results. You can brag about it. Or you can buy a $99 fucking ribbon mic from Sweetwater and get this motherfucker sounding good, like an R84. Come on now. This one all the way down to the bottom. And I'm blocking the screw from flying into the middle of the ribbon and cutting it. So I'm going to tighten this one, not too tight, just to kind of lock it in. It's time for me to cut my nails too. I'm going to do this one. Blocking it from ruining my work. Okay, so I'm going to tighten that one, and then I'm going to tighten this one, and then go back again. I need this locked in. Okay, there. Holy moly. That looks really good. It's a beauty. Now I need to do this side. Oh, did you see that? Oh my God. That's exactly the kind of bullshit. That's bullshit. Oh, fuck. Oh my God. I pointed at it. Why didn't I just say now I have to do that side? And instead I point at it and fucking rip it. Oh, I fucked it up, but oh, fuck, man. I don't know if this one's going to be salvageable. I really did put my nail into that. I just said I have to cut my nails. Hold on. Okay. I mean, we're good. Hold on. That was that extra slack that I told you about that I need. That little bit saved my ass. Crooked. Buck. light to make sure I got it right. Oh yeah, it's great. And remember, never point at your ribbon, Mike. Never point at... I know, holy smokes. It's all fucked up right there. I just pointed at it again. Don't even... One time, I went to take a drink. I went like that. Don't I show you my Pellegrino? And the bottom of that little hanging lip caught the bottom of my drink, and I pulled the ribbon off the mic. I'm telling you, I am not doing this on purpose. It's just Knucklehead City when you're here and I do these long runs, and it's just like, well, at least you guys are my witness, because these are stories that like no one would believe me. Rule number 1, never point at your microphone while you're working on it. I just made the point I should cut my nails, and I literally pointed in because my nails were long on this finger. Let's see if it do it. That's what caught the edge of the ribbon. I'm cutting my nails tonight. Manny, you're getting out of hand. Okay. You know I care. You know I fucking care. Don't see. Even when I laugh, it almost blew that ribbon out of the fucking transducer. Jesus, man. Relax, Manny. Relax, motherfucker. Please stay. Please stay, Mr. Microphone. Don't fuck with me anymore. Okay. I feel this could be good. Take this down. Almost all the way. Leave myself a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, that's good. Shit. Oh my god. It's stuck, and if that flies into the magnet, son of a bitch. My nizzles, what the hell? Put this screw in, I was holding it wrong. There's always something weird. If my hands don't feel like they're where they're supposed to be, I panic, and then I lost the screw. It's all muscle memory sometimes. Like I know how it's supposed to feel. Okay, how do I do this? That's how you do it. There it is. I had to figure it out and remember. Okay. Right into the magnet. I need some fucking light here. Lift it up with my finger, tension so it doesn't stick. Let me do the next one. I have this, so what I do is I press it against my finger tight, and then I lower my finger. So this way the screwdriver isn't gonna fly out and hit the magnet. I'm using my finger as a tension. The other one. Holy cows. There it is. Son of a gun, man. Now, at least on the Coles, you'd have to do 4 other things that could probably rip out the ribbon. At least right now, it's minimalized to, I have to rip that piece off. And if I didn't get this bracket right, you're going to see that ribbon torque and get all weird. Hold on. It was like, that ribbon. Let's see. Good foil in them. Sad that they're malnourished and they're not up to par, but thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it. Oh my god, dude, that was nerve-wracking. Actually, when I pointed at the mic and it caught my nail, that shocked me and scared me. I'm a grown man. I'm 59 years old. I got shock and awed by my own fucking fingernail. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Okay, so let's get this mic sealed up. This is the second mic for Carlton. He is in Austin, Texas. I don't know if he's seeing this, but I promised him I'd get the mics out to him. These two mics are officially done. I do have to test both of them. I just have to put them in the preamps, talk into the mics, and make sure that they sound good. If any of them sound a little weird or odd, you can tell really quick if the ribbon's not right. I'll open it up and replace the ribbon. That doesn't happen too often, but when it does, I have no issues with doing this. What you just saw, I'll do it again. I mean, why would I make a ribbon mic company and be annoyed that I have to do a ribbon mic? I mean, that's what I'm fucking doing. I like doing ribbon mics. I cuss at the mic. I know the mic's fucking with me because it has its own mind. I know my nails are too long and I almost fucked up that mic, and that's what it is. That's my life, people. Peeps. My peeps. Okay, I'm gonna get a drink now and I gotta close this up. Pellegrino. I don't know if the thanks icon's under the description. It wasn't there last night, but it will be there if you guys want to buy me a drink. Shannon, you're not allowed to buy me a drink. Shannon's a sweetheart. He got mics from me and he buys me a coffee every now and then here. If I think I'm going to get rich off of getting coffees here, I'm in the wrong business. I really hope that people get these mics. That's actually brings me the most enjoyment. And when I make my tutorials on recording, hopefully you all can find things. If you watch my old videos, there's a lot of cool tips on kick drum sounds, drum sets. I do rundown on microphones. It's not pro. It's just a normal guy like me and you, or you and me, or you all and me, talking about things that sometimes producers don't talk about. What you won't hear me say is, you know, when people ask me when I'm mixing, no one fucking asks me anything about when I'm mixing. When those guys do that, I'm like, bullshit. I know all the dudes when they're mixing and they don't tell you shit. The band, get a good band. Track the band well. Be versed in being musical. And when you mix, you have to be musical. What's the best thing about the mix? Put it forward. You cannot make a super safe mix. It sounds boring. Go for it. Speaking of go for it, let's get home. And I can't get home till I put on this. Hold on. Get it straight. All right. Now we use the razor blades that aren't the Primos. They have X's on them, which means they're semi-used for other things, not ribbons, just stuff like this. Whew. It's been a long day. An artist came down. It's really cool. I go to this place called Nick's in LA. I went to have breakfast there. And there's this cat that I always see going there. He's all tatted up. I don't know if he's in a band or not. I can't tell in LA. Everybody looks like they're in a band. And the waitress lady, she said something to me, and when I replied back, I'm like, oh, I've got to go. I think she asked me what I was gonna do, and I said, oh, I got to go to my studio. And he's like, oh, hey, you have a studio? And like, I see him every morning in there. I've never even talked with him. And I said, yeah, I have a studio, and I told him some of the bands I worked with. And he's like, man, I'm an artist. I work on Logic, and I've gotten to the point where everybody's asking me when I'm gonna release my music. And he goes, but I've done it all at my house, but I need to go to the next level. And I said, well, if it's electronic music, I was honest with him. I go, I don't know if I can help you because I record full bands. I go, but I do love what Linda Perry does, and I do love what producers do when they have something that's organic, like even oh my god, what was the gal that had the big old school hair and she sang Weiner? Why have oh my god, I have a totally blank on her name right now. Anyways, I think it's Mick Ronson, the guy that produces those. He entangles like live instruments with the artist. And I said, well, I could definitely do that. I go, I know my friend Fredo was in the Beastie Boys. He's a drummer. He was in Go-Go Bordello. He does most of my sessions percussions. I said, man, I can hook you up with Fredo. Oh, Amy Winehouse. Yeah. And even though there is pop, but the way, I think his name is Ronson. Mick Ronson? That's from the fucking Bowie. Maybe that's his name too. Anyways, I told him, I go, well, if you're interested, I do know guys. I know my friend plays in Pink. I go, she's an amazing bass player. I go, I can maybe ask her to hire her. And he was really like, really? I go, yeah, I know, all these different, I know horn players. Yeah, Mark Ronson, there it is. Thank you, Charlie. And I got in a really good conversation with him. I said, look, I'm not going to be a thumb drum guy. I'm not doing samples. But if you want to bring in real musicians to support your song, I definitely can do that. So we talked about 2 weeks ago. And today he had texted me and said he wanted to come see the studio. And we had a great meeting. I played him some music I've been working on. He saw the instruments and how I do things here. And I'm offering him something like that where it's like, exactly that. Like, come in with your song. It's on Logic. There's some kind of drum beat, pulse. Something is driving the beat. I go, as long as you know the BPM, I know a few drummers that can come in. My friend Dante was in a local band called Ozomatli. He's an amazing fucking bass player. I said his understanding of music is phenomenal. So I said, oh yeah, I'll bring in this guy. And then I said, if you need a keyboardist, my friend Jerry, he plays in Ziggy Marley. He used to play with the guy from the Rhythmics. Real fucking deal guy. I hire him all the time. And so my offering to him was, I'm not going to necessarily generate any kind of plugins, or I don't have a keyboard that pops up underneath my console. Sorry, I got to move this. I can't see what I'm doing. Hold on. I don't have like a keyboard that comes up from my console, and I'm going to help you write a hit. But I can put stuff together and put some really great musicians and try to make something really musical. And that's really my goal always. So he was really receptive to that. We lined up a bunch of people that I think would maybe work with him. I have to hear the song that he's going to do. And then I told him, even though you have vocals on it, I go, just be open-minded. After we tracked all these people and we build the track up, see if that inspires you, that when you come sing again, maybe you'll feel different about it. And he was really, really open to that. So he has a vocal there already. He has some kind of drum beat or loop he generated. Everything's done in Logic at his house, so he probably programmed everything. And that's cool. He's opened up about me bringing in some other players, and I told him my rate, what I do, and what it's going to cost. He's into it. And that's something that will probably realistically happen if he does come in, maybe September. Once again, if you have a studio, it's nice to have people when you. It takes a lot to book out your studio and to keep it consistently busy. And I am grateful enough that I can do stuff like this. Instead of just going home and watching TV, I'm actually talking with people. I'm learning something, from you guys sharing things. A lot of you have answers to questions that have slipped my mind. And I don't know, there's a lot of benefits, and also mentally coming in and working and feel like I'm still doing, even though I'm not playing and producing, I am creating something, which I'm creating, hopefully, an environment with these microphones that the artist who buys these will put these on his acoustic or drums, forget about that I've done anything to it, and then capture a really beautiful song that they're him or her are excited about. That to me is the best. I think that's the coolest of this. Is it comes out of my hands into theirs, and they could make it work for them and their band. These aren't necessarily a beauty contest. I just need them just to hold down that metal grill. Yeah, hello. Squeeze squares. Squares? I know I did. I'm looking with one eye as I'm trying to do this. I apologize. But thank you for tuning in. Okay. So this is the last stage. And at this point, it's really hard to mess this mic up. I shouldn't say that. Probably could still do it. But the ribbons are now fully protected from Manny screwdrivers, bolts, screws, looks, and it's pretty much done. I have to test it still, and I have to do a few more little ditties here, but at least now it'd be really hard to mess it up. So yeah, that's the ribbon now, and it looks great. It's not sagging. You saw it last time. Looks pretty good. I love it. I will check it again. I have to. So that is putting a ribbon in a mic. Talking and doing all this other stuff it's fun. All right, so let's lock this up. How many do you think you've done over the years? I was when I talked to MXL, because I had met with them to talk about if I could help them make a better mic. I wish they would have taken it up. It's not even that I don't mind doing this. I just felt like more so than even me, if I can make any money doing these for bands, I thought it'd be really killer if they just improved a few things, and maybe I wouldn't do this. I'd just do some other mics. But this mic would then be able to be on sale for $99 or a little bit more, and people can buy. Then it would really put a cramp in the style of all these other companies that pride themselves on all the things about the ribbon. When I explain it to them, man, if you put a tight ribbon in this and correct a few things in the design, you've got a winner. And this is a winner, man. I can't tell you enough on how good these mics sound. Even the R40s, and they have one, I think it's called an R80, which is kind of like a Royer a little bit, takes high sound pressure. That one has the same transducer. I'm sorry, it doesn't. But, thank you. But all that stuff that I babble about that goes around in this mic, it's just things I've learned just like you. I think living in Los Angeles and having a lot of studios around me, and I know producers. I remember when I was at Downtown Rehearsal, which is a huge rehearsal building. I used to have a studio there. This really cool producer named Luigi. We've been friends, and he just sees me. He's like, "Hey, man, I got a old ribbon mic that's not working as good," and he brought over a 74B. And it was like right when I moved into downtown, I was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And so I did the 74B. Those are really affordable. And the only thing that goes wrong with them is that there's little rubber grommets that go into the transducer, and it becomes loose and bounces around, and then the magnets are held together with two bolts. If those bolts come loose, the magnets get crooked, and then the ribbon gets fucked up. Those are a little bit difficult to work on, but if you get a good ribbon in them, they are amazing. They're really, really good. Um, they're the only RCAs. You can get RCA, they call them paintbrushes. They call SK46s, which are pretty dope as well. All those mics that are really old in RCAs, man, you got to get them looked at. Not even so much me, but like send them off to a guy that's a pro. It's kind of like getting your car tuned up. If you get a ribbon mic fully serviced and have it cleaned up and done right, now it's going to last another 30 years for you. When you get them and they've already been beat up for 30 years and you're like, it doesn't sound that good, and you sell it, you potentially lost out on a great mic for your studio. So even about vintage mics, there is some things about those that you should get those done. So let me just tighten this up. Okay. Okay, you know what time it is. Time to tag them. Sorry, MXL. We are changing you a little bit. Okay. Carlton, it is official if you're watching this from Austin, Texas. I've got your two mics done and ready to go. Congratulations. These are killer ribbons. Thank you all for sticking around and watching this. I've been on this for almost 2 hours. Oh my God. You think I would have a life now. But I don't drink and I don't do drugs. And I don't have any. I mean, I'm married and I produce bands. I go home and I'll be listening to some demos that bands have sent me for their future sessions. And my life is basically waking up, getting coffee, getting breakfast, trying to get my head straight, trying to be a good person, first off. Coming in here, and I don't want to let anyone down. I really care about these people. Shannon, I really care that your mics come out great. It was really important to me that you tested them when you got home, because I know you were thrilled, but also this is not hype. I want you to use them and be happy with them. And whoever gets these, as long as I'm doing these and you can grab them, these are the best mics under $400 after I've touched them. And the closest you can get to these are maybe those, $500, $600, $700 Royers. Maybe a used buyer, but you don't know how the ribbons are on those. So yeah, these are brand new mics. You can buy them, 99 bucks. $250 each mic is my mod. You just saw me do one of them. I've already spent probably close to 5 hours doing both of these mics, and I still have to test them. So it's a big deal. I want these to be good. I'm not some guy that has a Mackie board and some terrible speakers and I'm just check 1, 2, 3. These mics good. I have ATCs. I can run them through my API, run them through my Neves, and have 90 dBs of headroom to see what these ribbons sound like. So yeah, it's a big deal. I love these, man. I can't tell you. I didn't make this mic, but it's one of the few mics that feels good. It sounds good. The head basket, I think that has something to do with the sound. And, it's brand new. And you can get them and make these sound like at least a $900 to $1,200 ribbon mic. N8s, RD4s, these are comparable. Coles are kind of a different animal. They have a sound because of the aluminum, which I do Coles as well. You saw me yesterday. And the magnets are massive. It's like a 3-pound magnet in there or something. These have neodymium, which are new, but they're as strong. So, these are really, really, really cool mics. Carlton, if you see this, thank you so much. A big thumbs up for you. Thanks, everybody. Charlie for tuning in. Shannon, of course. Let me roll down the names. Charlie, you kicked ass. Thank you for your help. Hold on. Jam Pro Sounds, Boise, Idaho. Boise in the house. Oh, Jam Pro Sounds, really quick. You mentioned, I've always wanted to at least be for a project considered to include a vote for the Grammy. My last project was the closest I've ever gotten. That's cool, man. Here's a funny story. I'll just end it with this story. I had my studio. I can't see the band, but it was a big band, came in. The engineer was my best friend. I was going to be like his best man at his wedding. He's my best bud, period. He tells me, hey, I got this great band to come in. And that's when I'm going back and forth to Hawaii. I said, he goes, what? He goes, I can book out your studio. I'll get you paid and you can go to Hawaii. I said, dude, I love that. So we did it. And, but he didn't know how to use my studio. My patch bay is a fucking hornet's nest, rat's nest, whatever. It's my way. I built it my way. And he's never worked on an analog console like mine or a tape machine. So he brings the big Ben in. He says, look, do me a favor. The night before, come in, set up all the mics, and then stick around for about 2 days and just help me run the ropes of the studio, and I'll be cool, and then you can go to Hawaii. I said, perfect. So the band pays me. They book me out for 3 months. I come in there the night before. I'm in there until like the middle of the night, setting up all the mics for the drums. Everything's connected. We've checked all the mics. Then we unplug the mics. And then in the morning goes, can you be here when they come in? I said, sure. So I get there in the morning. The band arrives. I'm just Manny, who owns the studio, hanging out. He's like sweating bullets. He's like, okay, I'm going to go plug the mics. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead and plug them in. Plugs in all the mics on my engineering. He's just plugging in the mics. Then we go upstairs. I do all the sounds. Like, lower that a little bit. Do this. Plug it in there. And the band doesn't notice because they're all downstairs playing or getting ready to play. I do the pianos, I do everything. So the first 4 songs on this record, I pretty much, it's the Manny sound. And then after that, I went to Hawaii. And then the record comes out, and it gets nominated for a Grammy. And I was like, holy fuck. I engineered a record that was nominated for a Grammy. The first 4 fucking tracks, which were super sick. And you could tell the difference between the ones that I did and the ones that he did after me. Because the other ones had the Manny sound to them. So I call him up. And I say, hey, brother, you got to call the band and tell them that I engineered those first few songs. He goes, fuck you. And he hung up on me. He was like my best bud. And I was like, my life was just like, really? For fucking 4 fucking years, man, I helped that guy out. Saved his ass so many times. Would have done anything for him. Take a bullet for him. He gets nominated for a Grammy on my back. And then he refuses to tell the band that I had anything to do with the engineering, which I engineered the fucking first 4 songs. And then later on in the days I was there, they were switching to piano. And then I ended up putting the mics on the piano on the song that I did, one of my favorite songs. So at the end of the day, I've seen that guy still. I don't talk to him too much. I don't know why he went so dark. Except there was a moment in his life that he was going to get nominated for a Grammy. He did not want to share any of that. And he didn't have enough balls to tell the band. So weirdly enough, a few years ago, and this would be like 10 years after that record, I know one of the guys because I always see him. He's a really badass dude. And I said, hey, listen, I got a story for you. You can believe it or you cannot believe it. And I told him, and he could not believe it. He's like, that is fucked up. I go, I know. He just hung up on me and said, fuck off or fuck you. And I never was mentioned by the Grammy board or nothing. I didn't get a letter. There's nothing. And I know, like, I have friends that have won 6 or 7 Grammys. It hasn't really changed their life too much, but you got bragging rights. And like you said, your mom's happy. So maybe when you mentioned about getting nominated one time, that for your family and your children, they would be proud of you. So yeah, I never got nominated officially. I told the band, because the reason was I wanted to share the songs that I had done. I said, hey, listen, I tracked these first 4 songs. I told them what the songs were. They sound different than the other ones. That's because I engineered them. I go, can I share them, at least say that I engineered it? And they were like, yeah, go ahead, fucking cool. So they, end of the day, gave me permission, and I shared the songs, and I was able to bring to light that I worked on these songs, but it was under crazy circumstances. And which should have been an amazing moment of 2 friends ended up being the parting of the seas. And then here's another thing. While I was in China, he was the guy that was part of this world. While I was in China, he's my partner. The week that I was coming back from China, he gutted my studio and took everything I had. And the only thing he couldn't take out was the console and the machines because they're too fucking heavy. He took everything because I made a mistake. When we were sharing as partners, his wife had the credit card, and we would buy everything on her credit card, even though we're both working at it and we're both sharing everything. And I have no problem paying the rent. We got bands coming in. We're doing cool. I made some sick fucking records. I had nothing against his engineering. I love the guy, and we were best buds. But he just got this evil streak in him that was just jealous. Oh, you're fucking touring China, like making money and fucking chicks or whatever he thought I was doing. I was like, dude, you're fucking high. I almost died, and I don't drink, and I didn't go to fucking Thailand. I'm like walking around with 150 pounds of gear. My back's fucked up. My hips are fucked up. One of my knees gave out. I have to wear a brace because I'm carrying so much gear. I go, there was nothing fun about that except my heart and my mind. Enjoying being an artist was fucking worth it. So I came back on another level as a producer. He gutted my studio. Fucking everything's gone. All my mics that I had Rupert Neves, all my SE shit. And the only mics that I had in my possession is what I had to start now recording bands back in Los Angeles. So I arrived back in LA. I've got a backpack full of cables. I got my 002. And what I did is I went out and bought a Behringer 8-channel Firewire. Now I have 16 ins with my Pro Tools. I hid it under this console area that I had with a black. I hit it with a black piece of whatchamacallit, just a cover. You couldn't see it. So when bands would come in, and the grateful thing about me is that no one ever asked me what kind of gear I have. They're always like, Manny, you're going to make a record? I said, fuck yeah. So for about a year, I recorded with an 002, a Behringer 8, a handful of microphones. I had no money because I came back from China, and he gutted my studio, and I had no gear except my tape machines. And I'm not even lying. A year later, I had a Neve console. I had a full HD rig, which had been like about 40 grand back in the day. I had all the mics I would have loved, and my studio was back up and running. And that guy was living at his grandma's house, and then he got kicked out of that house, and now he's at some small studio. Now I'm talking past tense. This is like at the moment. Now I don't care. I honestly wish him the best. He was my best friend. He was a super rad dude. I loved his wife. I loved everything in his life that he was so cool. And he did help me out for a lot of years. And I felt like fate had sent me to China to brutalize my mind, almost like erase any kind of bullshit or anything that would give me a bad attitude. And when I came back and my studio was gutted by him, he took all the gear that we had bought mutually. I was hurt, but I was persistent and also wanted to say like this was all happening for some kind of reason. And there I was a year later having a Neve console, and I moved on in so many different levels. And even till today, this own studio, having it, working with you, hanging out with you all, a lot of this has to do with fate and your decisions. I haven't made all the greatest decisions. I'm not perfect. But sometimes in life, when people really do things to fuck up your world, you can't let it get to you. And honestly, you cannot wish bad on them either. Because I believe it's like bad karma. So at this point, if he was to come in here today, I would ask him if he wants a coffee, want to get some tamales, let's talk, let's hang out. Have no issues. Will I do that? Probably not. I think there's too many skeletons in his closet to really have him get over himself. I had to get over myself, man. When I came back from China, I had no money. My studio's gutted. I had to rely on work ethic and diligent waking up every day and saying, I'm going to be an artist and work with cool bands. And you know what? It did. It really, really was rewarding to go to China and having to rebuild your whole studio and know that you're on a mission to make art is fucking priceless. Oh, hey, dude. What's up? I got a 5-spot going on right there. That's what I'm talking about. Common Time Productions. Oh, check it out. Man, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much, brother. I just did these 2 mics. If you got a chance, I've been babbling some stories. Um, but yeah, man. So the long story of long is don't let other people fuck up your world, man. You know? Oh, let's see, John Bell. Yo, Manny, what kind of mics is in your company going to be making? Ribbon type, or are you just going to branch out? You know, honestly, ribbons are what I know. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. That's right. San Diego, my bad. But wait, you have a husband. Could have been your husband now. Come on now. Thank you so much. Yeah, when I mentioned about you're the only woman that watches my YouTube channel, and she actually picked up some microphones. So yeah, I get it. um, but let's see. No, you know what? Honestly, I've spent years. Yeah, Mary and her husband. I know. I told you. I know it could have been Sam. Come on, let's be politically correct. It could have been Sam. Um, but yeah, thank you for that $5. I appreciate that. I have some mics I sent down there for you. I have them both done. I've got to get them in the mail to you. I did them the other day live, and I'll hit you back tomorrow with the details on sending both your mics to you. Thank you so much. Mary got the mics, sent them to me. She was one of the first ones when I did a video, and 2 of them arrived, and I've got one done. I did one live, and so they're finished. Um, what I was gonna say, so. Yeah, man, moral of the story is, man, you have to just persevere and don't let people bum you out. I'm already older than most of you, probably. I'm like almost 60. And I have so much love now in, I'm not like religious or going to tell you to read a chapter out of the Bible. I've been through it all. I almost fucking died a bunch. I've given up so much in art. Like my son gratefully took a test and became a broker for the state. And I think his first job at 23, 24 was like almost 80,000 was the starting pay. And I was grateful he didn't become a musician, as weird as that to say, because my life as an artist has been nothing but a struggle. But I got to the point where I realized it was like being an artist is kind of like a disease. It's like being a heroin addict or a junkie. You cannot get off that shit. And people say, look at, get a job, get your life together. You can get so much to it. I saw my dad forced into retirement when he was 55, and it killed him. He died not long after that because his life was that company. And after that company, even though he became a bus driver and there was a lot of enjoyment he got out of his family and having time home, it really killed him because they were forced into that. So if I got some kind of fucking job and decided not to be a musician, and then I'm forced into retirement when I'm 60 and I'm already old and I never got to fulfill any of my dreams, I've recorded and mastered Abbey Road. I've gotten to travel the world recording bands, living around, living a life, even if it's through a backpack, not having a home. In China, I lived 2 years on the road, just traveling, hotels, sleeping with wherever the bands had an X room. I stayed there. When I lived in Honolulu. When I worked in Honolulu, um, it was incredible living on the island, but I had no money. So my memories of the things that I loved and the things I do have not necessarily paid off with a life where I have a car and I have a, uh, a retirement fund. But I tell you, man, waking up here and doing mics for you all, and I know I have some bands to do. I have some other stuff that I can't say because musically it's some of the best music of my life. I'm going to release hopefully in a month or so. I've waited my whole life to do this, and it finally came true. So, and then now I've been working 3 or 4 years to have my mic company, and to the right of me is a prototype. I wish I can show you, but we have to get it patent pending because as soon as I release it, I'm gonna get ripped off. I've been around so many ribbon mics. I know all the ribbon mic companies, and I know all the condensers and tube mic companies. And there's a little bit of everybody gets fucked by everybody. So when I release my ribbon mic, I can say right now, it will be one of the most original looking ribbon mics on earth. And as soon as it gets shown or I share it with people, I guarantee you we're going to start seeing microphones start to look like my mic. And if it doesn't, that's cool. I'll have the only mic. But in my design of this microphone, my backstory is when I made my first microphone, my prototype, which Go to this YouTube 2 years or 3 or whatever back it goes back, and you'll see my video of my prototype. At that point, it took me so hard to get to that point. I'm sorry. Any idea how much it will cost? You know what? It's getting made all in Southern California. I'm not sending it out to China. That in itself was fucking almost impossible. But that's also grown me a respect for these mics. These head baskets puts fear in anyone if they got to make these in the States because it costs so much money to machine these and make the dies for these. It's so fucking expensive. So my design, luckily, isn't like this. Eventually, I will have a mic that I want to have a big boy mic like this that sounds really good. I've already made 5 designs, maybe 6 designs if I go with them all. And one of them is kind of a bigger bodied mic like this. I will have to dive into figuring out how can I afford to make something like this. I have a good idea, and I think it's going to be super cool. It will not be like this, but it will be cool. But yeah, man, having everything made in Southern California is a son of a bitch. I wish I can tell you it will be made 100% in the States. It's not my fear. All ribbons are magnets. They need magnets in them. If I can't source out the magnets in the US, which I haven't really done full research yet on, if I can't source them out from the US, I may have to get the magnets from China. So then the mic will not be made 100% in the US. It will be assembled in the US, and minus the magnets, top to bottom, even the transformers. I have a really amazing company, one of the best in the world that I know them. They're, for me, going to make a small run of transformers, and the transformers are to a specific, you know, style that I wanted for the mics that I'm making. And they're possibly able to create it. So I'm super pumped if I get my mic produced or made in Southern California. If I can source the magnets from the United States, even, I mean, neodymium magnets are so strong, they make your mic sound good. Alnico magnets make your mic sound fucking badass. But the Alnicos have to be massive. And one of the big mics, if I make a big mic like this, I'm going to use Alnico because I want it to sound old school. So all these things about Alnico, neodymium, the magnets, the head baskets, I couldn't have learned all that unless I was working on these mics for a few years. So that's why I haven't released the mic last year. I had the design already. I just told myself, you need to learn more. And I have like 3 partners, and they all were super patient with me. And they all just said, Manny, just, take your time. And they see me doing these things. They see me educating myself by making these. And I get better and better and better. But even my first mics that I ever made sounded so fucking good. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why I can look at these ribbons and know when it's wrong, when it's right, what's the tension. I check all the mics with my human voice. My voice, like I'm not human, but I'm a human voice. That's how I check the ribbons. People put speakers up and they get tones that go high to low. You can do all that. But sounds like Warren. Oh my, easy. Come on now. I used to work for Produce Like a Pro. So thank you for mentioning that. Warren, I will give him props. I'm doing bad production with my camera work here, but I have a camera and lavaliers and know how to edit videos and do it properly. I learned all that from being on Produce Like a Pro with Warren. The only reason I'm not doing these and I'm doing it on the spot because I don't have time in my life to edit. When they did Produce Like a Pro productions, they would film, and then I know the editor, he would have to be like, I'm not even lying, they would film at like 6 at night, and he'd be editing till 6 in the morning till they can release the video the next day at 9 in the morning. I would croak over and die. This guy that does it, he's a young kid. For me personally, I have some videos coming up. I'm going to be going out to a studio in Indio, in Palm Springs, for doing a tour. I'm going to go, hopefully, with my friend Matt Mitchell. He's Maynard from Tools, bandmate in Pucifer, and also Perfect Circle, maybe not. He does a lot of stuff with Maynard and everyone from that crew. He has an amazing studio in Los Angeles, which I've done a pair of Coles for him, and we're buds. I love that guy, and I'm hopefully going to do a video with him. So I haven't done too many Manny mic lockers. I have 2 in the can already. I went to San Francisco a while ago. I've got to film that. And then Pierre has a wonderful studio in Lincoln Heights called 64 Sounds and like X and man, just ridiculous, man. It's one of the coolest studios in Los Angeles. That looks like you're walking into what do they call it? Like a you're going back in time like 50 years. But yeah, so I got a lot of stuff to do. Too much time, too much things. I do appreciate you guys letting me do my lo-fi camera. Some people have told me, "Hey man, your audio sucks." Yeah, I know, man. I'm just trying to get this going. I'm just trying to move and get through these. I do not have time in my life. And also, I'm not a YouTube head. I know I'm on YouTube doing this, but I don't set up a multiple things to happen like, "Hey Tommy, why don't you come in your drums?" And I'll act like I'm doing a record and I'm going to put your sample drums into a sampler and a compressor, and you're gonna play drums with your slippers because like you can't hit them hard, the compressor won't work. Like, fuck that shit, man. I'm doing real records and I'm being in drummers and they're violent and they're hitting my mics, they're breaking my mics. I'm like, yeah, let's check the sounds on that. And that's Manny. Hey John, what did you say there? Manny, what did you feel like call upon shellac after being told no? You know what, when I was recording my record with Steve Albini, we'd all fall in love with the studio. Steve was the fucking coolest, man. There's no one as cool as that guy. And the guys were like, "Come on, ask him." And I was like, "All right." I said, "Hey, Steve, we're getting ready to wrap up and fly back to LA." And I said, "Hey, man, can we open for your band if you ever come to LA?" He's like, "Fuck LA. LA sucks, man. All the bands suck. No one fucking blah, blah." He just went off on it, and I was like, "Pew." I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm never gonna ask that guy that again." And then 4 months later, he called. No, he sent me an email. And he was like, "Hey man, like on this date, can you open for us at the Knitting Factory? They've opened one here." I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" And I called everybody in my band, "Please be available." Like my drummer has fishing trips. I was like, "Phil, you're not going fishing that weekend, man. We're playing with Shellac," and that had so much to do with us meeting Fred Armisen, having Fred Armisen open up the next 3 or 4 shows with us with the Trail of Dead and all these other bands. And at the end of the day, Steve hooked us up with Nina Nastasia. We played with her and her wonderful fucking band. Her music. Do yourself a favor. Nina Nastasia has a new record. Look her up and buy a record. She's an amazing artist, amazing singer. That was one of Steve's best friends, and Heather, his wife, is best friends with Nina. She's had a really tough time, and they both had a tough time after Steve's death. So be gentle when if you add them or speak with them or listen to their music. They're wonderful people. Be respectful, but I love them. Um, oh shoot, yeah, yeah. We played the actual first show that Trail of Dead ever played in Los Angeles. They had all these Caesar haircuts. They were on Thrill Jockey. No, no, no. It was a label out of Chicago. It was a sick label. I forget the name of it, but they were on it. And the booker, her name was Toast. Toast says, "Hey, do you want to play with a band on Thrill Jockey or whatever the label was?" And I said, "Yeah, man. What are they called?" And I couldn't remember the name because their name was "And You Will Remember Us by the Trail of Dead," or they said TOD or Trail of Dead. So I said, "Sure." So they pull up. They all have these Caesar haircuts. They all look nice. They're all their clothes is clean, and they just look at these nice boys. And we played, and then they played, and they destroyed all their instruments. The singer jumped up onto the kick drum, shattered it into 100 pieces, and the other guy had like a guitar, a flying V or something. He threw it across the stage onto the floor. It slid across, split the audience in half. He pulled the cable back, rolled in the guitar, started playing it. And I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" And they were fucking awesome. I bought the record. The record was super sick. It was one of my favorite bands for a long. I actually ran into them when I was living in Hong Kong, and they were playing out there. But anyway, so after they played, we were out by the bus with the Trail of Dead, and they were just all sweaty. And this was the second show. They played Tucson the night before, and I just saw them destroy all their instruments. And the drummer goes, "Hey, you know anybody that rent us a drum set?" I was thinking to myself, "Fuck no, man." I said, "No, man, I can't help you." And that was it. And forever after that, you would just hear stories about them not giving a fuck. But yeah, I love all those guys, Jason and Conrad. Um, Super sweet guys, really buds, and I love Trailer Dead. So that's cool that you know about them. All right, everyone, it's 10:30. I've got to get up at like 6 tomorrow morning. My day was ribbon mics. If you can, grab a pair of these, man. It would really help me out. I love sharing ribbon mics. I love hearing stories about people using these. It is part of my life now. I hopefully when my ribbon mic company gets launched, you'll be the first to hear about it. I'll premiere my mic here when it happens. But I know we're just barely about to get our prototypes. We're going to make 3 of them, and I've got to test them. And I don't know what I mean, obviously on paper, and I've 3D printed them, and they're really fucking good. Um, um, so yeah, I mean, thank you for tuning in, and tell your husband I said hello. And like I said, the both mics are done. I know we talked about what we're going to talk about. Let me know as soon as possible. That's awesome. I'm going to get these to you. Um, but yeah, this is part of my life now, and I learned so much. So yeah, my ribbon mic. I'm thinking realistically. I was trying to get it to AES, which I believe is going to be in October. I don't think I'm going to get all the parts. We have, I mean, this mic is really complicated, and there's so many different parts that need to all come together to make it complete. Even though the transducer and the ribbon and the body of the mic, and I could probably put it on an amp and I would know what it sounds like, there's things that have to be done right on the outside, even down to the mic clip, that I know it's going to take time. So realistically, I would hope that in NAMM time in January, I would have something I could take to the show and show off. Perfect scenario, we would have some that we can sell there or at least start premiering it. The worst scenario would be the summertime. I know there's a bunch of music festivals that go around the world, and I don't know if I'm not rich, but I believe in this microphone. When we get it done, it'll be one of the most original and best sounding guitar microphones that'll be ribbons. It'll stand toe to toe with the best mics of the world. And that's what I hope for that. So thank you guys. John, thank you so much. In my information, you can grab my email. You can grab all my social media. Say hello to me. Follow me. Follow me here. If you want to buy me a Pellegrino, if the thank you icon is now under the description, it will be in a day or so. And even more so, like Common Time Productions, pick up 2 of these, and I'd love to make these for you, and you're going to flip out. And I'm bringing something back to our world, like better mics for a better price, and you have something now that you don't have to spend $1,400 on to get the same sound. And really the trick of this is that it's here. They made the mics. They sound fucking good. You just need a little bit of TLC and you can get it there. All right, everyone. Adios.